What's good, everybody? Welcome to our broadcast here for Fast Break here for High Sports Radio. You're to recall in sports. On tonight's show, ladies and gentlemen, we'll discuss D-Lock's trip to Cleveland to watch the Cavs and Sacramento Kings play. D-Lock, how was Cleveland on your trip over there?
Well, I'll tell you right now, it was pretty cold, but the stadium was definitely rocking. High scoring game, very interesting. I think the most interesting for me before getting the game was finding Twitter Park, but real good game. Evan Mobley showed why I think he's one of the top players on this team that can lead them a long way through the Eastern Conference.
We'll break down that trip and the game on tonight's show. Also, the Buzz family drama. We'll dig in wide to the family soul. Jeannie's comments about her family that finally boiled out. And what's going to happen with the Lakers down the line? I know we touched about it last week, but it's like more and more games coming out. Plus, trade deadline is coming up. Who's on the move? Who's not? Who's rumored? Who's not? Plus, news and scores around the world of basketball. But this is a fast break here for Ice Sports Radio, Beauty Forward Sports, and we'll catch you on the other side.
Hi, eSports Radio fans. This show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clinking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
And welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. This is Fast Break here for Ice Sports Radio, your Week Forward Sports. Thank you for tuning with us today on Championship Sunday in the NFL with the Patriots moving on to play beating the Denver Broncos tonight, 10-7. Moving on to San Francisco to await the winner of the LA Rams or the Seattle Seahawks. D-Lock, how you doing tonight, sir?
Oh, pretty well. Got a lot of snow, but everything is pretty fine. I'm inside. See how these next couple of days go. With this plowing a lot of snow these next couple of days. Good thing I got back in time after that Cleveland game. before it did get really heavy.
Yeah. Down here in Alabama, they respecting ice, snow, all that stuff, but things kind of changed. The more rain than anything, ice did come Saturday early in the morning, but after that, the rain came, all that stuff. So we'll see how tomorrow goes. It rained today and might freeze up tonight. So we'll see how things shake up here. Hope you're staying warm up there and wherever y'all live at, you know, Midwest, South, East Coast. Saw some tornado activity down south. So prayers to those down there affected by the tornadoes, all that. But D-Lock, let's get rock and rolling here. You went to Cleveland this past Friday to watch the Kings and the Cavaliers, with the Cavaliers winning 123-118. Talk about your experience going to Cleveland and going to their arena to watch that game. How was everything? You know, driving there. Well, I'll say driving there, getting there. What was the atmosphere like to you in Cleveland?
I think it was pretty interesting. I mean, like I said, the drive wasn't about maybe an hour 30, hour and 40 minutes from where I stay at. And I got there literally probably around like 6:30. The game started at 7:30. It was pretty packed. I mean, obviously, stadium's downtown. I think the Guardians stadium's literally right next to the Cavs stadium. So it was pretty much packed. I mean, it was a lot of, I think the tickets weren't too expensive, but it was pretty packed. I didn't expect it to be so many people there. Now, that game was a high-scoring game. As we know, the Kings are thinking about doing a lot of shuffling themselves through the trade deadline. So that team is looking at the bottom. We're starting to see Sabonis actually not starting. Right now, he's coming off the bench. The pressure cool is starting. But you did see Jared Allen and Evan Mobley out there. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell, those guys. Sabonis looks like, I'm sorry, not Sabonis. Evan Mobley looks like he's one of the guys that's going to lead the charge for this team. He got started early and played a huge role with this team. Kind of seems like, Jared Allen's the one that kind of gets cooking a little bit later on. He starts to get cooking late, probably late first, early second quarter. But it also depends on, the minute situation between those two. For me, Donovan Mitchell, seeing him live, he can shoot from anywhere. So I think that was the biggest thing. You still have a lot of LeBron James fans there. Like they're literally still saying, seeing Donovan shoot make some shots, and they're saying, "Oh, is that LeBron back in Cleveland?" So they still
that's a real thing.
Yeah, they literally still saying it's LeBron back in Cleveland. Also, you see a lot of LeBron jerseys. I mean, something that you've seen a lot of still. So for me, I think it gave me I like the entrance that they got. Stadium was extremely huge. Now there was a run that Sacramento went on, kind of had a lead for a minute in the fourth quarter. Kings took a timeout and came back, brought Evan Mobley back in, and they got going. Another person that was playing extremely well, Jalen Tyson. He got a chance to start, and he played very well. So, my experience is that this could be a pretty decent playoff team. Like I said, Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley are going to be the guys that lead this team. Obviously, Darius Garland isn't there. It's not going to be there for a while. But leading on those two guys, I think will help this team move forward and possibly be pretty well in the East. But that stadium definitely gets rocking big time when the team needs it. I think within like 2 or 3 minutes, they were down by like 5 points. Sacramento made a big run. And Dennis Schroeder played a pretty decent role that along with Russ. So, it got pretty intense at the end. But at the end of the day, the Cavs found a way to close it out. Like I said, I think their main closer is Donovan Mitchell. I mean, he's going to have to be the guy that plays extreme role. If Jalen Tyson can be consistent, I mean, I think this team can kind of weather the storm without Darius Garland a little bit. This team fully healthy is one to watch for. We've said it all year, but health is the big issue. So for me now, seeing how they're putting these different rotations in, these different lineups, having a lineup with Evan Mobley and Jared Allen on the bench. Then they come in with a different rotation with Jared Allen and Tyson and these guys. I mean, they could put two rotations in and go on a good run consistently. Having DeAndre Hunter still out there as well. Craig Porter is playing pretty decent also. So, I mean, I think this team could be pretty solid. It's just that they got to keep it consistent. Now, they did let Sabonis kind of do what he wanted.
Yeah,
game. Yeah, he had a game of his life. There. I mean, I vividly remember one steal that he made that just didn't make any kind of sense. He went on the run, got the steal, and just slammed it down. So, I don't think he had a game like that in a long time. So seeing DeRozan out there, which you really didn't see too much, but I did see the highlight of Sabonis being the one for them, getting hot, catching on fire. But at the end of the day, I think this Cavs team is one of the better teams in the East, and they have a chance to be one of the better teams in the East. Now, me going to the game and it being mid-season, regular season game, and as hype as it was, I can only imagine, a playoff game, Eastern Conference game, hell, the NBA Finals game, when the Warriors in Cleveland played. I had texted you after about possibly going to the Lakers and Cavs game this Wednesday, because I already know that game is probably going to be 10 times even higher. Just because of, LeBron coming back and obviously Luka being there as well. So that place gets kind of hot. And I actually seen that game is going to be on, I think, ESPN. So that game is going to have a lot of people there. It's going to be super, super duper hype. But I ain't going to lie, man, it costs a lot of money to eat at them games too. So, but it was a great experience, man. I mean, I had some pretty decent seats, but in my opinion, even in the nosebleeds, man, you literally can see a lot, everything. A lot of times you can be courtside or super close, but I think the higher you are, the more that you can see, right? So I think I kind of appreciate being, a little bit higher so I can see anything from, half court or from behind the goal post or the goal. So to me, it was a pretty decent experience. I've been to a Hawks game, been to a Magic game, and now a Cavs game. So pretty decent experience.
Kind of recap the game for me, from my point of view. Donovan Mitchell 33 points, efficient scoring 9, 6-7 from the line. Evan Mobley, like you touched on, and you told me in text, 29 points, 13 rebounds for him. And then Sabonis off the bench, 24 points, 16 rebounds for him. Kept Sacramento competitive with this strong double-double. DeRozan also had 20 points as well. LaVine, 10 points. Now, he only played 22 minutes in that game, in a game that was pretty close. It says a lot. Schroeder, 21 points. Malik Monk, 16 points, 32 minutes for him off the bench. And then you look, besides Mobley and Mitchell, Tyson, like you mentioned, 17 points for him, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. The bench didn't really do much except for DeAndre Hunter, who still wants to be traded. 9 points for him off the bench. But no time for Lonzo Ball. Darius Garland is still out. Max Strus, Sam Harrell are out as well. It's interesting that, the way Cleveland kind of came out last year, I don't think not out of nowhere, but it's like we saw them last year, dang, they really came out of nowhere, just stayed on top of the East. But then the thing that kind of hurt them, and we saw in the playoffs, was injuries. It's like every time you look up, okay, Garland's out, now he's back. Donovan Mitchell's out, then he's back. Jared Allen missing time, then he's back. Mobley, And then Struz, all the other guys, anybody just missed time at different points, and nobody was fully healthy to see the full strength of the squad. Because I think we're talking about last season. If that squad was fully healthy, they can match up pretty easy with the Thunder in the finals. Mobley, Allen down low to contain Holmgren and Hartenstein down low.
Mm-hmm.
The backcourt would be the more interesting matchup, like who can contain SGA. Jalen Williams probably be the X factor because, he's on the wing and, you got Strus and Hunter, but, who are you going to start there to kind of contain Jalen Williams there? And now this year, they kind of got out slow. They're 27-20 right now in the East. I think a game behind Toronto for fourth. So they're kind of getting themselves back together. They're kind of getting back together, all that stuff. Detroit still top of the East right now. Boston number 2. New York number 3, but New York got a lot of questions going for them right now. And I don't know what's going to happen in New York. There are rumors about Karl-Anthony Towns.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't move Towns, maybe some of the bench guys get moved to kind of reshuffle things. But that's where New York is at, and they've been having players-only meetings and stuff like that. So New York's not looking good. Toronto, they're solid, but it's just like we're kind of a couple years away for them. And God knows if this roster stays together, because they may be they are rumors to do something as well at the trade deadline. And Sabonis' name been coming up with them as a possible trade target. So Cleveland, I think they can stay healthy, stay consistent. They're only about in the loss column 2 games behind New York. If they can just stay consistent, play strong basketball, I think they can make a move to third, by close to the trade deadline. So for Cleveland, for me, if they could keep this up, just weather the storm, I think it'd be okay. Because if you're just looking at division, only person they have really changed is Detroit. Everybody else, Chicago's kind of there, but and then Milwaukee, Giannis is out again with the calf strain. He's still unhappy. This team's been, it's funny. We talked about this a couple years ago. It's funny. Adrian Griffin had that team, was it 30-13 before he got let go?
Yeah, it was up there. They had a pretty decent record before they packed them up.
And you just look at this team's kind of fallen since then. I'm not saying we never, unless somebody come out on the podcast say it, or Adrian Griffin come out and say it, what happened. We will never know what happened with that team. That y'all are at top of the East with a new guy at top. And next thing you know, he's fired. You bring in Doc. A lot of things don't go your way. Lillard gets hurt, all that good stuff. And now, you're below 500, and Giannis is out again for about 4 weeks at least. And then the Pacers, I talked about last week, they're like a big disappointment to me. So if you're the Cavs, just kind of stay there, play consistent ball, get ahead of the Raptors and the Knicks, and I think you'd be good. I think a matchup for them, I think they don't want to see in the first round is probably your Orlando Magic.
Yeah.
And I saw a thing on Bleacher Report that I want to say if you rock with this. What I saw on Bleacher Report, and it contains Karl-Anthony Towns, a 3-team trade that Towns and somebody else gets sent to the Magic. Darren Sharp for the Nets. Going to the Knicks is Jalen Suggs and Wendell Carter. Going to the Nets is like Jack Howard, multiple picks, Jonathan Isaac, and I think another player. What you think about that if you're Orlando Magic did that type of deal to get Karl-Anthony Towns?
I mean, to be honest with you, I'm really not opposed to getting a player like a Karl-Anthony Towns. Depending on like who you were to give up, right? Like you said, we talk moving Wendell Carter, who I think is exceptionally well, but I definitely take Karl-Anthony Towns over him. I've already told you about Jonathan Isaac alone. The biggest piece that we would be missing is Jalen Suggs, and I think for that, I'm somewhat okay with that because of how much time he misses. Right? There are times where he's probably out of the game a lot. You made a big deal to go get Desmond Bane, so this is gonna be somebody that got to come in and play a huge role for you. So for me, I just think that having somebody like a Karl-Anthony Towns in the trade would be a big plus. Now, who you getting off of? How does it impact your team? You know what I mean? So that's why I said, to me, you go grab him. Now you got him. You got Banchero. Biggest thing still with Orlando is being healthy. So Franz Wagner, who we know is missing time, is going to miss some more time. Is a big player, a big role in this. You go get you got Desmond Bane. You're pairing with a Karl-Anthony Towns and the rest of these guys. I mean, you might have a team that could do something. So I would definitely press the green button on that trade. The one that I said would hurt is moving on from Jalen Suggs, but I think you kind of played a big role in picking up Desmond Bane, and Anthony Black is playing extremely well when he gets the chance. So you got some guys in there that's going to get the play extremely role, and now basically what you're doing is you're upgrading the 5 position. So if you could do that, I think that'll play a superb part in how this team can go. And what it does is it impacts another team in the East. That's the Knicks, right? So to me, like I said, I don't think that's a bad trade. I mean, obviously, like I said, health thing is my biggest thing, but to upgrade that center position, which I've said multiple times, that is what is hurting Orlando. I think you pressed the big green button on that because you got a few players that are not touchable right now on that team. As Banchero, Franz Wagner, and Desmond Bane. Right? Those are your guys. Those are your key guys. You're probably not going to move them unless it's just a trade that's just hard to turn down. So that's your team that you put together. Then, you add another all-star into that, and now you have a solid young team in the East for a while. Like you said, Milwaukee looks like there's some trouble with Giannis being injured. We're going to see how that plays out. And I think you make an upgrade knowing that a team like Cleveland is going to be there with Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. You're going to have to make a big upgrade. So I wouldn't mind that. I mean, like I said, bringing him in, I think that'd be a big plus. But losing Jalen Suggs would be one thing that would kind of have me kind of hesitant. But everything else, hey, far away.
I think somebody got to do a move to shake something up. And, with injuries to like guys like Jimmy Butler and Anthony Davis, will probably kind of quiet things. because I think those guys were kind of like in the rumor mill and stuff like that, especially Anthony Davis. But now with Carney Towns and Knicks struggles, you know, do you do some type of move if you're New York to kind of shake things up?
Mm-hmm.
And one thing we talk about this roster, very top heavy. You know, Brunson, OG, Josh Hart, Miles Bridges, Carl, you know, Mitchell Robinson, guys making like $12 million and above. And then after you make all these deals, stuff like that right here, leaves a lot less, especially with the new tax apron and stuff like that with the NBA, leaves a lot less to make other, moves. You gotta hope guys, granted it's New York, guys are willing to come to New York and chill and stuff like that. But now you can sell these guys, hey, we got a team here that can compete for a championship. So, a lot of guys came on the minimal. Jordan Clarkson, Landry Shamet came back on the minimal and stuff like that. So now, you got these guys coming in, but they really not, they're producing, but not like you hoped.
Right.
And then on top of that, your star guys, they kind of struggle and stuff like that time from time. And I don't know if it's like the coaching or Mike Brown, because if you're doing players only meetings, it's a sign for something. We talked about this past summer. If they kept Tom Thibodeau, the two guys that are rumored to leave were kind of like Miles Bridges and Carney Towns.
Mm-hmm.
But now, you put Thibodeau away, those issues are still there for the Knicks. So I don't know what they do if you're Knicks. If when I saw that trade on Bleacher Report, if you're the Magic, why not?
Yeah.
I think good, shake things up. You try for years with Wendell Carter. One. You try for years with Jonathan Isaac. Down low. Why not? Okay. Ship both of them out. Get Towns in. You got some decent depth behind, when those guys don't play. That would be big. So why not get Towns in? Your offense be, obviously upgraded, and see what you get. And now you got 4 scoring dominoes out there. With Towns, Pancaro, Wagner, and Bain. That's tough right there.
Yeah, it is.
That's tough. And if you can do that, damn it, I think you can do a lot of damage in the playoffs. And nobody probably don't want to see y'all in the playoffs. With Cat, he can stretch the floor, he can drive a little bit, along with the other guys. And that's easy open looks for guys like who you got to depend on now, like Jace Richardson, Anthony Black, to kind of pick up the slack if you trade Ray Suggs to kind of do more in that franchise. So, will the Knicks do it? I don't know. If you're Magic, you got to look like, okay, to take a chance to make a stab at it, let's do it. If you're the Knicks, we give up that scoring down low, but we kind of get better, a little better defensively, whatnot, with Wendell Carter and Suggs in the lineup.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's what you looking at this team. I've said it for a while. If you look at past games, one thing that this team does struggle is against centers in the actual guard position. So now, do you put Anthony Black in that starting role? You know what I mean? You move him up, and like you said, Jay Richardson starts to come in and play a role also. So to me, it's a huge upgrade and something that you can go after. Because right now, I mean, I said a lot of stuff about Philly in the past about how they need to get things together. But right now, man, Philly look like they're getting a lot of good stuff together, and they're keeping Joel Embiid healthy. This team looks pretty dangerous right now, to be honest. So now you get Joel Embiid in the fold. He's starting to play pretty decent. The rest of these guys, Philly looks like a team that could be a contender also. So now that big situation of centers, you're going to need somebody to be down there for like a Embiid or somebody like that, especially in the East. So to me, I would say shoot that shot. I mean, you haven't seen Orlando look like this since they had a Dwight Howard team, had a shot to do something like this. So why not go ahead and go all in, especially with the young core that you have, and see what happens. I mean, especially like I said, at this point, the East is very much open. Go ahead and take a chance. That's what you got to do sometimes. Take that big risk.
And the Knicks did win that matchup Saturday against the Philadelphia 76ers, 112-109. Brunson had 31 points. OG had 23 points and kind of really played well in the second half, especially taking advantage of the Sixers lacking size besides Embiid down low, cutting in, stuff like that, and dunking them fools. Towns only played 60 minutes, but fouled out in the game. Only had 10 points. Josh Hart had 10 points, 13 rebounds, 7 assists in that matchup. Mitchell Robinson, 6 points for him, 10 rebounds in that matchup, 2 blocks as well. And then on the Philly side of things, Joel Embiid, 38 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists. Maxey, 22 points, 6 assists. And watching that game D-Locke Saturday, Maxey was just politicking for some calls and stuff like that, in which he was just like, damn, dude, you just kind of, like, some of the turnovers and stuff he had, like, that was on him.
Mm-hmm.
And then Edgecombe, 14 points for him and 4 assists in that matchup. Paul George didn't really do much in that matchup. 9 points for him, 6 rebounds, 2 assists in that matchup as well. And then it's supposed to be like a triple header. If some of y'all don't know, it's a triple header supposed to be happening on ABC Saturday, but with the shooting that happened in Minneapolis, if you know, you know. I don't know how you could not by now, but they canceled that Saturday game between the Wolves and the Warriors and pushed it to Sunday, in which the Warriors won, I believe, today. Yeah, 111-85 of that matchup this past Saturday, Sunday today. Curry, 26 points in that matchup. Anthony Edwards, 32 points in that loss, but 8 turnovers for him today. DiVincenzo, 22 points as well. Nas Reed, 0 points, but 10 rebounds for him. And kind of stay with the Warriors real quick and talk about the trade deadline, stuff like that, D-Locke. Kuminga, what a wild ride for him.
Yeah.
So, for those who don't know, Jimmy Butler's out for the rest of the year with a torn ACL. Jonathan Kuminga hasn't really played much this year. Jimmy Butler gets hurt, they put Kuminga back in the lineup. And after game 2, Jonathan Kuminga gets hurt, coming back to the lineup for the Warriors. D-Locke, the point still stands. He still wants to be traded away from the Warriors, which I don't blame him. With this injury, do you foresee him get moved by the deadline?
I think what happened with Jimmy Butler, I think that's not probably going to happen now. I mean, we talked about it before. Maybe we got to start talking about stuff on the podcast earlier because we started speaking stuff into existence. We talked about it before. They were not using Kuminga at all, right? They could have traded him. What did I say? Well, hey, they see the potential in this kid. They see what he can do. Maybe they see him at practice. Maybe they see what he can do when he gets a chance to play. Day or two later, Jimmy Butler gets hurt. So now you're looking down your bench like, well, damn, okay, who are we going to put in? Bump that. We're going to throw ahead and put Kuminga in there. And what happens? He plays extremely well, and he shows that what we've been talking about. This proves the reason why they're not traded. They have not been trying to trade him, in my opinion. he's a guy that they can build around. And he showed that in a little bit of frame time that he's played. So for me, I don't see it. Obviously, I can see the injury, but what makes it even worse is the fact that Jimmy Butler went down. And clearly, like I said, Steph is not showing his ages yet, but will. And they see just glimpses of what Kuminga can be. So I think the injury to him now gives them a reason. Well, nah, we're not going to trade you. You know what I mean? But also playing a part with Jimmy Butler not being there, it shakes things up. In my opinion, now you're in a sense, like I said, forced to kind of lean on these other players. Kuminga was one of them. But you get a chance to get a glance at him, and we all see it. Now the world sees it. Damn, Kuminga, he might be a little star in the making. Now they want to keep those cards close. So to me, I don't think they had plans on moving him before that. But I think now it's definitely a no-go.
For me, I hate it for him that he got injured. That's what I hate that part, because he got injured, trying to boost up his value, trying to get eyes on him, and trying to get some team to make a move for him. I mean, it's still teams interested in him. We talked about it during the summer. The Kings had interest, the Bulls had interest, the Suns had interest. You know, there's teams that were interested in him, but the Warriors balked at it for reasons I don't know why. I don't know why Mike Dunleavy and Steve Kerr on this jihad of dissing him any chance they get. I don't know how that helps anybody in this situation. He's still a young player that, you know, as we know, covering the NBA, that any young player that shows an ounce of potential will be a very good player. These NBA teams will bite on in a hot second. So for me, you know, it sucks that this injury happened. It sucks that this team is kind of holding him hostage. And some of y'all probably just say, like, well, he's still getting paid millions of dollars and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, ain't got a ring out, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, true. But if you kind of look at the situation, you know, it's just real odd how they've been going about it. It's just real odd that you're keeping this guy around for what?
Yeah. Makes you wonder.
And, you know, if Steve Kerr wants a more veteran team and stuff like that, trade him away. If the rumors are true that y'all were trying to trade for Giannis a couple years ago, whatever, ship him along the way with some young pieces. Same thing for Lauri Markkanen.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all in the running for him. Same thing for LeBron. You know, if you want a certain style for your coaching and stuff like that, you want certain players, fine, whatever. But don't hold these other guys hostage just because. And part of the reason that ownership probably hasn't gave him that extension yet, because of stuff like this. I think Steve Kerr will get an extension to route out Steph Curry's career, but damn it, man, it ain't looking good right now. I'll let you last word real quick.
I mean, I think we got the flash of why they don't want to trade him in my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he went out there and showed what he can do, how good he can be. I think the Warriors are trying to be like the Lakers or Boston, who historically, you know, win a championship and then get another superstar. You know what I mean? Automatically. That's just the rotation that they started to get. They started to get into that realm of, all right, boom, We got championships. Let's add another player in. This player's retiring. This player's leaving. Let's get somebody else in. We've seen it happen. That's why LeBron is in LA. That's why Luke is in LA. They're going to have somebody there. So I think that Golden State wants to kind of follow that mold. Not to say that Kuminga is going to be the next Steph Curry, no. But it's a piece that they can build upon. Because once Klay's gone, Draymond's going to be gone. Steph is going to be gone. When that happens, Jimmy Butler's going to be gone. Who are they going to have in the future? So they're trying to follow a mold. And they see Podziemski being part of the future, Kuminga being some kind of pair that they have, and just shed a little bit of light on what he can do. So again, like you said, it's if you're gonna trade this guy, they want to make sure they get what they expect. The type of talent that he has, they want something like that in return. And it's just not, I don't see it. Especially with that Clippers trade away SGS, a one to OKC, it's like a once in a lifetime trade. You're never going to see that again.
Yeah.
That's something that is damn near impossible. You know, we talk about the Clippers shooting themselves in the foot for that trade. So that's something that you're not going to see. And maybe that's one thing that scares Golden State away from this. Maybe they can see the situation lining up very similar. Damn, we had a future All-Star, Hall of Famer on our roster, but we trade him away. Well, if that's the case, why not play this guy? So it kind of goes hand to hand. And for me, I mean, decision has to be made. So what happens? How do they play? At this point, if they haven't traded him now, that's giving them more leeway to not trade him. You know, so and now it's looking at teams know they're not trying to give up. They're not trying to give up Kuminga. You know that. So now you're gonna come with a valid trade that looks better than any other trade, a blockbuster type trade. So for it to happen, I say it's slim to none. I think he's gonna be there for a while.
Going to the chat real quick before we go to break real quick. Mark is lowest grade in the chat saying, going back to your trip to Cleveland, said a lot of money to drink at those games, $20 beers.
Yeah, I was looking at them regular lemonades and it was like $27, $25. Yeah, so your beers are probably going to be pretty much up there as well.
Damn. Shit, that was like, I went to the Titan game, Saint game last month, man. I was like half of that price.
Yeah, man.
Ooh.
I think I got me some wings, some fries.
$27 for some damn lemonade. Damn.
Yeah. There's big time money up there, man. I mean, in some of these games, like I said, it's prices are up there knowing that the games are going to be packed. So, and obviously, you know, some people gotta you be there for about 3 or 4 hours. If you haven't eaten anything, you're gonna eat or drink something. Especially if your team is playing pretty well, also.
And then hell, you said that the Lakers would be there Wednesday. Hell, LeBron back in town.
Yeah,
Luke is there. Yeah, hell, they be making that money then.
They
Shit.
definitely gonna make it then. It's gonna be pretty much crazy, which is why I still considering. I mean, not sure how long the snow is gonna be here, but it'll definitely be something to consider if it was pretty decent weather. Drive an hour and 40 minutes, hour 50. Luka and Donovan Mitchell and LeBron. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. They got a good price on it. They definitely got to go.
And then other comments, he says the Sixers are fool's gold. I'll say this about the Sixers. Edgecombe and Maxey are going to be a tough backcourt for years to come. If Edgecombe develops nicely on the same path like Maxey has, they'll be a dangerous backcourt for years to come. I think if you're the Sixers, you got to figure out a big man for the future.
Yeah.
You got to figure out a nice big man for the future. I don't know if you trade somebody in this deadline or you draft somebody who's got high potential. But I think if you're the Sixers, you gotta find somebody down low that can be a competent scorer for your future. So, we'll see about the Sixers. Paul George, watch that game. I don't say he's cooked, but it's just like it's not the same player. It's not the same player to me. So we'll see about the Sixers. But we're gonna take our break, ladies and gentlemen. On the other side of things, I know we talked about the Lakers last week, all that stuff. Yes, I know. But there's an article that came out about this Bus family and how the team got sold and why a decade's worth of drama got put out in an article and that led to their sale of the franchise. We'll discuss that much more and talk about the Lakers' victory this past Saturday also against the Mavs as well in the same breath. So this is Fast Break here for IE Sports Radio. You'll read Forward Sports, and we'll catch you on the other side.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back to the show tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in with us tonight. Hope you are staying warm wherever part of the country you are at on this championship Sunday, in which the Rams just scored again to kind of close the gap on the Seahawks. We're pulling the Cougar, hitting the pylon to score the ball for the Rams. So hope you're staying warm. The New England Patriots are heading to the Super Bowl once again. Titans fans are having a battle on X/Twitter on why we let go of Vrabel, some fans don't give a damn no more. Who cares? He's gone. Blah, 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 blah. Anyways. So that's going on right now. But D-Locke, I know we talked about the Lakers last week. Talk about more the on-the-court struggles than anything. And then, the Rich Paul stuff, affecting the on-the-court play, all that. Saying you straight Austin Reeves for Jaren Jackson and whatnot. Had that going on. So a lot of stuff. And that was before, we talked about that before, they played the Raptors, and DeAndre Ayton had a very solid game for them. Was like 10 for 10 from the floor, had a great game, all that good stuff. But then D-Locke, an article from ESPN from let me pull this up, from Baxter Holmes, written on the 21st. That came out on the 21st, talking about how the team was sold, the infighting drama. For those that don't know, let's just put it out here. The Buss family always had drama. we talked about on the show for the past couple of years, you know, the winning time, stuff like that. Yeah, they look great on the court, but behind the scenes, there's always some BS happening. For whatever reason. You know, they say winning cures a lot of things. Sometimes it do, sometimes it don't. And the Bust family kind of proved that besides all the success they had over the years, the branding, stuff like that. You know, they want the world's richest owners compared to what we see today. But you want to talk about the genius of Dr. Bust, the scheming, the marketability, his smarts, you know, which rose that franchise to be the most profitable in all of sports. The Lakers are a brand, up there with the Dallas Cowboys, up there with the New York Knicks, you know, up there with the New England Patriots. The football teams overseas, Arsenal, Chelsea. You get my point. The Yankees. So this article, you know, here, I'm going to touch on this couple things here. And then I'm going to put this right here. I kind of want to start right here. This is what I typed out. This is when things kind of, you know, went sideways with the family to me. As you know, D-Locke, you know, sometimes when the elders pass away or the matriarch or the head of household pass away, that's things kind of go sideways.
Right.
You know, in families. You know, my grandfather passed away a few years ago. He left a lot of stuff to my aunt, my dad and my uncles and aunt didn't really feel. You know what I'm saying? Didn't like that. And they kind of butted heads a couple times about it. You know, stuff like that. Here, when Dr. Bust died back in 2013, the ownership went between the 6 siblings. And then the seeds of the power struggle started. Now, in this article here, it started out like this. Jesse Bust, was at his Los Angeles area home when his phone buzzed with a text message from Joe McCormick, the Los Angeles Senior Vice President of Finance and Chief Financial Officer. It was 8:45 Pacific time on November 20th. He said, "Good morning, Jess. I need to talk to you today about several organizational changes that will affect you. Please let me know when you have time. Thank you, Joe." Jesse, a co-owner and team's assistant general manager, quickly texted back. 1 minute later, the brother Joey, a fellow co-owner, called. Joey, the team's vice president of research and development, had received a similar message from McCormick, followed by a call. McCormick told Joey that he was being fired immediately, and so was his brother. So let me stop right there. For those that know, when Dr. Bust went away, the ownership between the 6 siblings. Let me put. I got it right here. Between the 6 siblings, there's Jeannie that everybody knows about. There's Jim that Dr. Bust tried to lead the franchise to, but it just never worked. Johnny Bust, Jesse Bust, and Joey Bust. I think there's another daughter in there as well. I forgot her name. But you had those siblings. Jesse and Joey, ladies and gentlemen, were the 2 siblings that Dr. Bust had with another lady, I believe. So Jim, Johnny, Jeannie, and the other daughter were Dr. Bus and that wife. And then the other two younger ones were with the other lady, in which I think the four older siblings kind of resented. So this is like when they sold to Mark Walter, and Jenny fired the two younger ones who worked in the organization. So very heavy stuff right here. And the reason I keep putting this part up right here, let me put this, take this off right here. Sorry. The reason I keep putting this up right here, because when he died, that's when stuff kind of went changing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Let me continue in this article real quick. Gone too were brothers Jim and Johnny, who held Lakers administrative roles, and sister Janie, who was 62 near retirement. So that's the other sister right there. The Lakers were this talk about the season. The Lakers were 15 games into the season and playing well. With 11-4 record, the teams sell to Mark Walter at $10 billion valuation, had closed nearly 3 weeks prior in late October. While leadership changes are often given in any such transaction, the timing seemed off. By now, what had they done? Janie pleaded not to be fired. Please let me resign. She was out, but was be paid through the end of the calendar year. So probably through the end of December. She told ESPN she felt disappointed. She felt disappointed and disrespected, like a crumpled up piece of paper thrown into the trash.
Mm-hmm.
The only bus still a part of the team was Jeannie, driver of the sale to Walter and the team's governor since Jerry Buss died in 2013. She fired everyone, a team official told ESPN. Jimmy, Joey, and Jesse Buss declined to comment for this story. Let me stop right there, D-Locke. Reading that little part right there. And we know about the family bond, I don't say bond, but you know how the family, how Dr. Buss entrusted his kids with the organization, all that stuff.
Right.
And something happened to him. He left. He was going to leave the team to them, all that. What's your thoughts about hearing all this and how things went down behind the scenes with Jenny and the siblings?
I think, like you said, since Jerry Buss passed away, everything kind of got very tough, right? Now you got family. Obviously, you got siblings that don't have the same parents, so now it's just very catty, I would say. Very much catty. Now, in the midst of all this, you're talking about a team that's trying to be an organization that's trying to compete for a championship too, right? They're known for competing for a championship. Like I talked about before about Lakers adding on players and trying to be consistent. A lot of this just makes it more so business, man. I mean, now, obviously, them being a family, it turned everything to be very business to them. Now you got more of them, picking sides or these different things happening behind closed doors. Now you feel like you got to watch your back, even having conversation with your own family members or siblings. So for me, it makes it real tough on being able to just operate, as one, as a family. That makes it very tough because now you're trying to figure out, well, hell, who's really got my back in a sense, with a lot of this situation. So that stuff gets real catty, man. I think knowing the history of what the Lakers organization is about, like you said, watching different documentaries about the Lakers, what Jerry Buss expected, this is something that he would not have wanted. how cat this is something that he probably didn't want no part. He wouldn't want no parts of. So this is something that kind of makes everything definitely a toss up.
When I read this, it's like kind of going here.
Mm-hmm.
I will bring this timeline up. For 2014-16,
It paused. It might have paused.
all right. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened there.
Check my Wi-Fi box. Make sure nothing didn't happen wrong with that.
What's that?
So when it makes my Wi-Fi box, nothing happened wrong with that on my side.
Okay, yeah, because I see. Okay. All right, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. We'll pull this back up here. All right. So what I'm trying to say is Dr. Bus was only going to leave Jim as control of the team and stuff like that. You know, you always hear stories about Jerry West and all that stuff, but a lot of people, some people with inside knowledge of the team back in that day, always brought up that Jim was always in factor in decisions and stuff like that during that time as well. And now, you know, at this point here, you know, Jim took the wheel. Jim Buss took the wheel. Jim leads basketball operations, rebuild, kind of stalls. You know, you had coaching turnover, Mike Brown, Bell free agent pitches, and growing tension between him and Jenny. You know, him and Mitch Kutchpat. You know, we heard about stories about all that, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Mitch basically just being there, having some say, but, you know, never had the full control of the team. And then now, you know, he finally got full control of the team. Jerry West is long gone, all that good stuff. Now you kind of see what the two of them did and wasn't good. And then there's stories about Jim not being at games. He'd be at Hooters watching the game. And he was like a freaking visitor at the local Hooters in wherever part, or Beverly Hills or somewhere around there. I don't know where exactly, but he was at Hooters. Let's put it like that.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, you know, we talked before the show, man. I think the thing that kind of, you know, tipped him over the edge, and I don't blame Jeannie for this, but when they signed Timothy Mozgov and Luol Deng, and for some of y'all younger folks that listen to the show or catching the playback, the NBA used to do their free agency period at like a stroke of midnight or 1 Eastern. I'm not making this up. I'm not lying. They had free agency shows that start at 1 Eastern, 12 Central. And you be up late at night, see what moves is going to happen.
Right.
I remember this. They signed Mozgov and Luol Deng at the same time, like 2 minutes past midnight, my time. 2 minutes past. Timothy Mozgov and Luol Deng. Now, Luol Deng, you could defend. I was like, okay, Luol Deng, not a bad player on stuff. But Mozgov, that's 4 years, $60 million.
Oh, yeah.
And you're not getting the Mozgov that contributed well for the Cavs when the Cavs went that streak of finals run. You're not getting that. You're not getting that Mozgov
Nah.
that played the year before, that played in that finals run the year before for Cleveland when the injuries happened to Kyrie and Kevin Love. You get the guy the year after who didn't play much in that run. That's who you got. And then he didn't, after so many months, he didn't play much. Moskov did. Same thing with Luau Day. He didn't play much after that.
Mm-hmm.
They sent those guys home, ladies and gentlemen. Like they told those guys to go away. I think they traded away Moskov to get his money off the bus, but Luau Deng, they didn't go away.
Yeah.
And so much so, and last week we were sitting talking about the Lakers. So much so we talk about the Lakers. I looked on Spotback. I looked on the cap space for next year, all that stuff for the summer. They still paying Luau Deng $2 million. Ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, that's a while back too.
I know we celebrate Bobby Bonilla Day every July 1st. But damn it, Luau Deng, he's up there as well. And I think Bobby Bonilla got like a few more years left on that deal. But Luau Deng, he's up there with them. But going back to this time, you know, the team struggled. They're drafted high. But this, you know, also around that time, you know, you remember they're taking gambles on guys. They were former lottery picks. Xavier Henry, Wesley Johnson, guys like that. Other young guys that had success in college, you know, Kendall Marshall. It just never really materialized. Banking on guys like Jordan Hill, who came in, played pretty well. Earl Clark used to play for Louisville, played pretty decent at times, and then it's kind of the sparkle went away. Now, I'm not saying those bad moves, but you know, you're at the end of the Kobe run, and then he was getting hurt every so often.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you had Gasol, and then you let him go. I think, you know, he went to the Bulls. So a lot of things that weren't going their way. And in 2017, he made a power move and got Jim out the way. And so much so they went to court over this. But let me go back to the article real quick. The firings and sale marketed the official end of a tumultuous decade for the Busses. In an unceremonious ending for the family whose father who built the Lakers into the most popular and valuable family-owned sports enterprise in the world. Jerry Buss's dream was to leave what he had created to his 6 children, generational wealth, of course, but also a business empire that will tie familial bonds together forever. It didn't happen. Instead, the dream began to fall apart soon after the family patriarch died, more than a decade ago, which I touched upon. Interviews with current former Lakers staffers with direct knowledge of key events, sources close to within the Buss family revealed that post-Jerry Buss era with the Lakers had been defined largely by sibling infighting and sabotage, attempted coups, and deep family distrust. Even after the sale closed, questions linger among some family members about whether the sale was in line with the family trust and whether a sibling quietly took financial care of her allies and friends at the expense of her own family. I don't think my dad would be happy with the things went down, Janie said. Not at all. For those that know, for those that don't know, Jeannie Buss. If some of y'all heard about Kurt Rambis, used to play for the Lakers, was a one-time a interim coach for the Lakers, longtime assistant under Phil Jackson. Left for the Wolves, came back to the Lakers after that run failed. Was very close with the family. And his wife, Linda, is very close with Jenny. And D-Lock, I didn't know this until a few years ago that I didn't know the Ramesses had that much control in the front office. Making moves. I didn't know that. If I look up and, when they were doing the coaching search and Phil was still involved somewhat, I didn't know the Ramesses had influence like that. It was not the J.J. Redick hire. I think it was when they were trying to get Ty Lue, but he said no, and they got damn, what's his name that won the championship?
Oh yeah, Vogel.
Yeah, Frank Vogel. I didn't know they had input like that. So you had all that going on, all that stuff, and the two of them have influence and close bond with her and all that stuff. So it's like Jenny's like damn the family, man. I'm taking care of mine.
Yeah. And that's what it seemed like, when it started to come to, like I said, the passion, like they all started to move a lot different.
Mm-hmm.
So now like the family kind of, like he was the heart and soul of the family. Like he played a key part. Jerry did. So now it's like, damn, like, well, what do we do now? You have this franchise that you gotta run and a lot of money invested in these expectations. Like, this is a person that played a huge part of your family, and he also played a huge part of your business or the franchise. So now you got to be able to uphold that. So it makes it real tough now, decisions that need to be made. But then when there's a lot of money involved, as we know, a lot of money is involved in any type of relationship or friendship, it changes a lot. So now, like you said, it's well, damn, let me just make sure I take care of what I got to take care of.
And she has no kids that we know of. She has no kids. She has nieces and nephews, I think, from her siblings, relationships and whatnot. But, as we've seen, Jeannie and stuff like that, see her smiling, looking good, people, gawking over despite her age and, talking about the Playboy photo shoot meeting years ago. But now y'all talking about like a 60-plus-year-old woman now. So like, come on now. Anyways, it's just like seeing all this and then, go to this part here and basically find her brother and say, hey, you're gone, all that stuff. And then, Magic gets brought in along with Rob Pelinka, who used to be Kobe's agent at that time, and bring him in to kind of help shake things up. And then you get to this part here. New front office, new friction. Magic and Pelinka era begins. Magic abruptly resigns in 2019. That's the infamous I ain't coming back deal.
Right.
When he was just want to go back on Twitter and talk and accuses Pelinka of backstabbing and making a power play that Jenny may not be involved with and all that good stuff there. So let's continue this article. They talk about, Dr. Buzz, how he bought the team, all that good stuff. Talk about Dr. Buzz declining at $1 billion offer for the team from who? They didn't say who. And then going on this article, to this part here, Jenny, the problem with that is that so much money Jenny said on the 2023 appearance on the Athletic NBA Show podcast. I would get the money and people would say, we're going to do all that money, talking about selling the team, all that good stuff. And then the first thing I wanted to hear is about the Lakers. Jenny said around the time that she and her siblings began having conversations with their father about how he wants to be remembered. So they're talking about dad, all that stuff, and all that. And then, what we talking about, the Hulu documentary, legacy was important to him, she said in the 2022 10-part Hulu documentary series, Legacy, the true story of the Los Angeles Lakers. He wanted to have a start on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He wanted to be inducted to the Basketball Hall of Fame. But really what was more important to him was his family and his team.
Yep.
In the same episode, Jim said he would say, I trust you guys to keep this going the way that I wanted it to go. In 2006, Bus received his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. 4 years later, he was inducted to the Basketball Hall of Fame. And 1 year after that, Bus convened his children to discuss the family legacy. By then, the Lakers have become a global sports brand on par with the New York Yankees and Dallas Cowboys.
Yep.
He asked them about the possibility of selling the team. So this is kind of like maybe a couple years before his death.
They already talked about it, right? It's discussed.
Do you think everybody wants to sell? And should we? Johnny recalled his father saying, I know that this is going to cause a lot of infighting with the family after I pass away. Should we just do it now so that we get all said and get it all said and done? If they did sell, Bus asked his kids, what would they do? The answer, Janie told ESPN, mimic what their father had said time and again. Everyone said, well, we'll buy the Lakers, she said. She said he wanted to keep it within the family. He wanted to make sure the Lakers were in the Bus family, Johnny told ESPN, for generations after generation. Man, power is a thing that doesn't get discussed. I mean, it gets discussed, but it don't get discussed like it should. Like we look, I know we touch on politics stuff here in once in a while, but look what's going on in Minnesota right now. The power dynamic going there.
Mm-hmm.
Look what's going on in the world right now. But the president just throwing his power everywhere. And nobody's really challenging him. If you're being honest about it. And you look at right here. It's like the siblings never really challenged. They kind of went by their father's word, but then once he died, Jeannie's kind of like looked around like, the two younger ones, they ain't gonna do much. The four older ones, I could get a challenge from, but ain't nobody gonna stop me.
Yeah. Having all that power.
I'm a pretty face. He put unlockable. You know, I'm unlockable, all that stuff. And I'm just kind of skipping to this time right here. The bottom roster turn, culture changes, LeBron influence, debate critics, question Jenny's loyalty. Those are Pelinka. Brothers Joey and Jesse gain more power in scouting. So it's like if she could push the brothers out sooner, she would.
Right.
But I think they all kept their word to their father.
But that's what they wanted. Going through that timeline, that's what he wanted, right? He had these expectations of what he wanted for the family to do with that franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fair. You want to leave it in his name. You want to make sure that you do as what he would want you to do. But being the fact that it is his other siblings that can play a big part in that decision, not everybody's on the same page.
Yep.
And that's what things got hectic. It sounded great. While he was alive, they discussed it. Everybody was putting input in, agreeing, yes, father, these different things. But now that he's here to not have a say, decisions are being made. People are getting, I won't say selfish, but they're taking care of themselves. And trying to move on, with their life with different things. I think having ties to the organization clearly brings back a lot of memories too with the father.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that plays a part of that. How do they want to approach that? How is a day-to-day basis of being into the Lakers facility? You're thinking about your pops every day. Like, how does that play out? How does it impact them? So, people have their different ways of dealing with it. Like you said, having power plays a huge role. You have that type of power. You try to make decisions, and you're saying, well, hey, like you said, Jenny's saying, this person ain't gonna help me. This person can't say nothing to me. I've done this, that, and the third. So having some type of power, that person is making a lot of decisions. And it's hard to make them think otherwise. And when you have so many people involved, this is where I said the disconnect is going. They're not agreeing. One person feel like this, and it's very catty, very, very catty. Especially, like I said, hearing the different things. Obviously, like you said, getting LeBron there and these different coaching changes, these different things. Like, Jenny played a huge role in all of this. But I think the more that they interview and ask questions, more is going to come out of how she feels.
Mm-hmm.
She continues to answer questions, do podcast interviews or different interviews. She's going to speak up more. So I think this is a story that's going to continue. It's definitely not going to stop anytime soon.
Just go in the article real quick. Finish up. Still, when we got the Dr. Buss's death in February 2013 at the age of 80, the 6 Buss siblings met at the team's practice facility where Jim and Johnny, the 2 older siblings, expressed an openness to selling. So you got that right there. Jenny was apprehensive. She said half the Buss siblings wanting to sell wouldn't be enough. At least 4 would need to be in favor. Jenny remained resistant. She was always the swing vote, Johnny told ESPN. Looming over the idea was the structure of the trust itself. Now, I want y'all to hear this right here, which Jenny described to ESPN as the last man standing type of trust. The design dated back many years, Jenny explained. As her father had become obsessed with that idea of a Tontine, a pool investment where the shares of any member who dies are redistributed among the surviving members. So I've read about this. If something happened to Jim, if the sale happened for $10 billion, if something happened to Jim beforehand, that cut percentage where he gotten went to the other 5 siblings.
You're right.
So, if something unfortunately happens to me and my brother and sister got to sell for the Lakers, that's $5 billion a piece to them. Now, of course, I would hope they would take care of my daughter and wife, but you never know with things like that. But at the end of the day, that's how the team so that's how it got distributed. And that's why this sale kind of happened the way it did.
Mm-hmm.
This is what the Genie said from 2022. My dad, at the end of his life, wanted peace. Genie said he didn't want disgruntled children complaining. Yet jealousy and infighting has always been a staple of the siblings for years. I've touched on. Many around the Lakers told ESPN that Jerry Buss was the glue that held the family together. And it's all about 2017, what we already kind of touched on. We brought up right here. Rob Pelinka coming in, Magic Johnson coming in. All that good stuff right there. They also talk about the lawyers and infighting, the coaching, Luke Walton, all that good stuff in the article. So, very good article. It's on ESPN, written by Baxter Holmes. Very good article that if you don't know about the Buss family, it gives you a good outline, timeline, all that stuff. But kind of bring to full circle here, D-Locke. You got the new ownership, Mark Walton, owner of the Dodgers, and we see how the Dodgers are right now.
Yeah.
Like they dominate right now. And they made some moves in the offseason that's probably going to keep them right here for a good hot minute. Shohei Ohtani, probably the world's famous baseball player right now. If I had to get, I don't know who else is more popular than him right now, besides Aaron Judge. So the way the Dodgers are going, baseball is like a different cap, all that stuff, and money structure than the NBA. To you, and the sell and stuff in the future of the franchise with Luke and all that stuff, how you see things going about with the Lakers in your eyes? The Buss family, most of them, they ain't there no more except for Jeannie. All that. LeBron, I don't know what they're going to do with that. How you see about this franchise going for the next 5 years? Let's go 5 years in your eyes.
Well, I think they built so much. Lakers got so much history and built so much. I don't see them dropping off tremendously. Obviously, the owner has to make wise decisions moving forward. But I think the biggest move was having Luka get traded there. That bought him a hell of a lot of time. I think that was a great move. Like I said, the Lakers, we've seen this multiple times. They go and replace their superstars and add others on to continue that dynasty role. Now, the question is, how do they build around Luka? Is the approach the same? You had Kobe at one time. You went and added Shaq, right? So it's just, how do they go about this? They drafted Magic Johnson. Added to Kareem. So a lot of these things, they've done this over years. We've seen this. Is the approach going to be the same moving forward, or is it going to be, hey, this guy right here has to damn near be everything for us? So again, it depends on how they move forward. I mean, like I said, they got their piece for the future, but that's why I said, well, hell, do they make a move for Giannis? Do they try to make a move for another superstar? Do we see that? So for me, I think that, again, their future's kind of set up pretty nicely right now. Now we talked about hearing them talk about moving Austin Reeves, or somebody saying, a couple of people think about them moving Austin Reeves. Can Austin Reeves be part of that big three for this team, including Luka, right? So I say in the next 4 or 5 years, I think they're in good hands. I think they will be, still be a team to reckon with. My biggest concern is, can they continue to add more? We've seen the documentary, how important it was for the Lakers to compete with Boston. So we've seen that for a long time. Does that still remain? Do they continue to do that when it comes to winning championships? We see it with multiple teams. Do they continue to try to say, hey, Luka is not enough. We need to pair him with this person or that person. Is that something that they continue to do? So for me, I wanted to see, all right, cool. Yeah, you got a superstar right now in Luka, but there's more that need to be done. LeBron's going to retire soon. He's going to be gone. They're clearly seeing the writing on the wall. Is Luka and Austin Reeves the guys that you want to lean on for years? You want to add somebody else onto it. So that's my only question, is how do they approach continuing a dynasty or a competitive franchise? Or do we see that drop off a little bit?
I say this as a Laker fan. We'll see how things go. Only person I kind of question the next 5 years is Rob Pelinka and some of the moves that he has made. I think JJ Redick is a fine coach. I think probably came in a little bit too strong. The first year, I think he's gonna figure things out. Second year in, stuff like that. Kind of got gift wrapped a superstar in Luka to build with for years to come. We'll see how that relationship goes. But Rob Pelinka, I kind of question, like, with this new ownership right now. I know Jenny's still the governor and stuff like that, but you got new money in.
Mm-hmm.
They want their own person in making moves. And I touch on the Dodgers and whatnot, and seeing all the moves they make. I know baseball and basketball are different in terms of salary and all that stuff, and cap all that stuff, but the way the Dodgers, like you touched on, adding talents off that, the Dodgers ain't stopping making moves. Yeah, we got these guys a hard salary, but how much can we add some more? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if they can find like the right formula and add the right players, and are they willing to spend the spend above the tax aprons to stay on top? That's one thing I kind of looking forward to. Is like, ooh, if they can do that, God bless them. But like you brought up, like the Boston Celtics, they're in talks about trade rumors and stuff like that for Zubac.
Right.
And I'm not saying me and you brought off the Celtics. We still thought we'd be a playoff team, but I didn't think on January 25th they'd be second in the East right now with Jason Tatum out. That's a testament. Besides the Lakers, about the only organization that kind of kept, they had the down years, but kind of kept things, with their pride and stuff like that and their structure to keep things going. Yeah, after the Berg years, they kind of had a drop off there and whatnot, and they tried for Rick Pitino, and that didn't work out really well. But then you kind of hit something with Paul Pierce. Then next thing you know, Antoine Walker, and then get a coach like Jim O'Brien in and add a couple guys like Kenny Anderson, stuff like that. You kind of get things rolling right there for the next few years. And then add Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, and you would never championship.
Mm-hmm.
You know, almost won a second one with those trio, you know, losing to the Lakers in 7. And then after that, Paul Pierce, Garnett, and Allen run went away. You know, kind of down again, but then Danny Ainge, you know, stroke pay dirt with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And then you roll those young guys. You had guys like Isaiah Thomas and Kyrie along the way. And now you're back in contention. I hired Brad Stevens, which was a great hire for the Celtics. I always like Brad Stevens.
Mm-hmm.
He did an excellent job at Butler. You know, now he's in the front office. The email you caught, the situation didn't work out as they hoped. But, you know, we saw how that went. But you can see how the Celtics are right now. And you can see how the Lakers are right now. Those two teams still there competing and whatnot.
Yep.
In the year 2026. All that. Yeah, other teams that kind of sprouted up over the past couple of years. The Miami Heat, with Pat Riley's influence as well. The Golden State Warriors. You know, that ownership. And then getting Steph Curry, you know, Mark Jackson at the base, and then Steve Kerr. Now you kind of see how those things went. You know, the Nuggets with Jokic. There's other dynasties that kind of sprinked up here and there, but those two are still the standard.
Yeah.
And with the Lakers, you know, Dr. Buss did his thing. Jerry West did his thing. You know, when they signed Shaq, the town I'm living in now, back in the mid-90s when Shaq signed, about that local newspaper in Athens, Alabama, that had Shaq in the front paper talking about that big deal he signed with the Lakers. That was monumental when Shaq signed with the Lakers.
Big move.
Big move, branding. I know you're probably mad at that time that Shaq went to the Lakers. But for me, getting Shaq like that, like, damn, we're back.
Big time. And that's what the Lakers do. I mean, like I said, that's what we've seen them do for years. They continue to be contenders by any means.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hearing the dynasty and the expectations, this is what they know. And this is the expectation. So hopefully they can continue that.
They're going to the chat real quick. Mitch Marcus put earlier, the Suns should never own the team. I don't know, man. I don't know. That's like, I don't know. That's hard to. I think Jenny got lucky because Magic convinced LeBron to come, and they eventually won the title in 2020.
Yes.
I think she got lucky there. So I'm not saying she should, but it's like, I always contend like the two younger ones should be running the franchise. Because I think they had more basketball sense compared to the other ones. Now, you know, the other sister, she worked in the front office, so put her to the side. You know, and then the other brother that really didn't really care, put him to the side. So you really only focus about Jim and Jenny.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only two you had to really focus on. And he also said they were still mad at Jenny for pushing them out when the team was losing. I mean, you can't blame her there. What we touched on about Timothy Mozgov, Luol Deng, and the other dealings and stuff like that. Brian Scott being the coach around that time too. There's not a lot of things working their way. You know, that franchise, all that good stuff. But to put a bow on this, like we talked about with the Lakers, you know, they won yesterday against the Mavs. Let's see, pull it up real quick. They won 116-110. Watching that game, they played well in the first half, but the third quarter, it went away from them. But credit to them, the Lakers bounced back. Rui Hachimura was very hot in the fourth quarter. I tweeted that from our show account during the game. Luka had 33 points, 11 assists, 8 rebounds. LeBron, 17 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. Marcus Smart, 13 points for him. Hit some clutch three-pointers. LaRavia, same thing, 13 points for him. Rui off the bench, 17 points for him, 8 rebounds. Shot the ball very well in that game. Jared Vanderbilt, 8 points for him as well. For Dallas, I want to shout out Najee Marshall, man.
He been cooking lately.
He's been very underpaid for what he's been rated to the mass right now. And if I'm Dallas, that's a piece I'm trying to keep around for the future to go along with Cooper Flag, because he's really he can play multiple positions, can guard, and can score the ball very well. He's very, very, very talented player. Max Christie, 24 points for him. Cooper Flag, only 60 points for him and 6 assists in the matchup. 20 points off the bench for Brandon Williams, who was really coming along, played very well for the Mavs. And they win 116-110. D-Locke, to put a ball on the Lakers for right now, do you foresee them making a move around the deadline to shake the roster up, or they're going to keep everything as is?
I really don't see them moving too much this roster. I mean, I think they try to make some all-season moves, to help them out. I think the biggest thing having a chance to be competitive in the West, which is what's needed. I think that I just think that now they're gonna just try to be contingent with that roster that they have. And my biggest thing, like I always talk about, health is everything. Ability, best ability is availability. And Austin Reed's been out for a while. They need him to get back. They got to be 100% healthy for them to be, or damn near close to 100% healthy with this roster to be competitive. At this point, do they make a move? They're going to get DeAndre Ayton. They felt like they covered a few things, grabbing him, especially the big position. Now we just try to see if they can, like continue to be competitive with the roster that they have. To make adjustments again, I just don't see it.
To pull a ball on the Lakers, I say like this for the Lakers. If they're going to do something, do it. We're trading LeBron, trading Austin, DeAndre Ayton, Jared Vanderbilt, Davidson. If you're going to make a move for somebody or do something with somebody, you got to make it now. Because the Warriors are weakened by Jimmy Butler being out and Kuminga being out.
Yep.
Jokic, he probably be back after the All-Star break. And you still got Aaron Gordon in and out the lineup for Denver. The Spurs and Thunder are playing well, but some of the star guys are out. So if you're Lakers, you're gonna do something now. If not, and you're gonna be around that between that 4th and 6th range in the playoff season. So, we'll see about that, and we'll monitor all that stuff. But this has been our show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in with us. If you're new to the channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the little subscribe button, hit the bell notification. Every time we go live every Sunday, you get a notification. We'll go live every Sunday or after 7 on Sunday to talk about everything in the world of basketball. Locke, how can people find you on social media?
You guys can find me at Black-813 on X. Our Magic is starting to come around. We'll see what happens when the trade deadline comes around. Let's see what we do. I think we're in a good place right now. I definitely put more pictures once that Cavs game. And still deciding if I'm going to go that Cavs and Lakers game. Guys, think I should go ahead and tweet me and let me know. Go from there.
Sure.
I'm thinking about it big time. They get the snow out, man. I might be on the road Wednesday morning. Let them find your page.
You can find my page at Spawn4288, Spawn4288. Also, check out at Fast Break at IESR. That's Fast Break at IESR. A lot of good posts on college basketball Saturday. Shout out to Illinois. They beat Purdue. 46 points for I forgot the freshman guard. It's a name tipping my mind. Talk about Charles Bediako being active for Alabama despite playing 3 years in G League. Kind of touch on that. So a lot of heavy stuff going on in the world of basketball right now. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, talk to y'all next week. We're out here.